You know how life happens sometimes. Well, I was having this wonderful conversation with a jeweler, and as we were talking, I'm like, man, this would be some good information for people to hear. So I asked him if we could turn on the video camera. As you can see by looking around, I did not clean my office before turning on the video camera, and my dog's coming in and out of the shot, but please excuse that so you can hear what Doug has to say. Hi, this is Kelly Vandever. I'm a real estate agent in Alpharetta, Georgia with Keller Williams, North Atlanta. And today I'm talking with Doug Meadows. Doug, would you mind introducing yourself to everybody?
Sure. I'm Doug Meadows, and I'm a third generation jeweler up here in Marietta, Georgia. My grandfather started us in 1926 up in Detroit. I got tired of the cold and snow in '82 and made the flight down here to Georgia. 23 years old and um, been doing it ever since. Currently, the store that I have is called David Douglas Diamonds. My brother's Dave and I'm Doug. Years ago, we put our two names together to create the David Douglas. Our last name is actually Meadows. Currently, it's just me and my son operating this location, and we're just having a blast.
I love that. I love that. And we got to talking about things, and I mentioned that one of the challenges that folks, when they're downsizing or thinking about moving to the next stage, or if they've inherited their parents' house, is getting rid of things.
Hmm.
That's a big
Yeah,
challenge.
sure.
And I know when my stepmother passed away earlier this year, she left a lot of jewelry,
Hmm.
and I wondered if that was an issue. And it sounds like you see that too with
Yeah,
some of your clients. So
we see it. Sad. I mean, I don't know if it's sadly, but I mean, we see it pretty regularly,
mhm.
to where people are coming in with things that their parents have passed away, and they have all this jewelry that they're not sure if it's valuable or not, or is it real or not. And so, one of the things that we have always offered is what we call a verbal appraisal, to where people come in for a consultation, a sitting fee, and we kind of go through everything. We had one gentleman, for example, brought in literally 20 boxes of banker boxes full of jewelry. And he goes, I think I got all the good stuff out of it. And uh, he, we started going through it all, and we're like, no, she's actually hidden things underneath boxes and inside of cotton and different things like that. And they ended up with a bunch of stuff. And that was to be distributed through several brothers and sisters. But we helped them to establish a value on everything so that they could figure out a way to do that. One of the other services that we offer on that is, they can either refashion it, remake it, recycle it. There, some people will have a couple pieces in there, maybe they want to keep, or maybe it's so dated that they want to just utilize some of the parts and keep the sentimental side of it, and we can help them refashion that into a whole new piece. But and there's many jewelers that do similar things to what we offer that are really good out there. And but I don't know, it's been really interesting. I mean, another couple of brothers came in one year, and typically when I'm getting these situations, it's a hodgepodge of stuff. I mean, there's everything from the really cheap junk all the way up to some, halfway decent stuff. These two brothers came in and they had so much stuff. I was blown away at how much stuff they had, and none of it was cheap junk. It was all nice stuff.
Wow.
I mean, I was just flabbergasted at the value of all this stuff. And I mean, we put it all down, gave them their offers. Some of it we ended up buying from them, and different things. But I don't know. It's been fun. The other cool part that I always love about jewelry is, jewelry always has a story. And I joke with people. I tell them at the end of the day, all we're dealing with is cold metal and hard rocks, but it's always the story. And so when I start looking at all this jewelry, um, I mean, sometimes I just go, did your mom or did your dad travel a lot over in Europe, or were they in India? Or, I mean, each piece of jewelry will tell you a story if you look for it. And they're like, well, yeah, how do you know that? And there's just certain things I can't really put my finger on it, but there's certain things about different pieces of jewelry that you can tell. You can tell an era, a date. You can tell an origin. I mean, there's certain things that tell me that they were in Vietnam and they brought all this stuff back and gave it to their wife,
Yeah.
and just little things like that is just so much fun to discover the story, and it's just fun to watch, them kind of light up and share some of the stories that they are remembering, good stories that they remember about their parents, and I get to be a part of people's lives in a different way. That's just a lot of fun. But
Yeah. Well, I would imagine that it is an emotional conversation for a lot of people. It's hard
it
to
is, it
decide
is.
what to do or
Yeah,
what to
I
keep.
I just had a friend of mine that her mom had given me a bunch of her jewelry probably 2 or 3 years ago to try to sell on consignment. So that's another way that we can help, is putting things on consignment. Um, we're relatively selective on the consignment. We don't take just anything because we want to curate a nice selection for our customers. So it has to be in decent condition and what we might consider sellable. But anyways, we had all that stuff. Well, her mom ended up passing away. And so I reached out to her and I said, what do you want to do with the rest of this jewelry? And, so we made some ideas and some suggestions. And so we ended up shipping some stuff back to her. And she just texted me and just said, I just bawled my eyes out when I got all this stuff because it just, reminded her of her mom
Yeah.
and things that she'd kind of forgotten about. And I said, I just said, it's always a good day when I can make a woman cry. But more importantly, that that it brought back some really good memories of your mom, and she celebrated a great life, and I miss her too. So it was just different kinds of approaches that we have to it.
Yeah, yeah, very good. Um, do you also have the other end of the spectrum where you end up with people thinking stuff it has value and then it doesn't have value, or
Yep.
how do you handle that piece?
So you have these what I call folklore stories of that family ring that
Yeah.
great grandma had that has an alexandrite or something, that they think has been genuine, or this big ruby ring that grandma or great grandma even had that had been passed down a couple of times. And what people don't realize is how long synthetic gemstones have been around. I mean, they've been around for over 100 years or even longer, 150 years. And so sadly, a lot of these rings that people think are extremely valuable are actually just, they might be a gold ring, but it's a synthetic stone or a fake
Mhm.
stone or
Yeah.
whatever. And then, sadly, jewelers have this reputation of switching stones on people. I don't know where that came
Mm.
from or how that happened, but I guess it's kind of like that bad attorney out there, or or that bad doctor. There's always one in the batch that makes it for everybody.
Right,
But
right.
um, I've had a few people, where we discovered that, the stone wasn't real or whatever, and then they started accusing that last jeweler that touched it that he must have switched it.
Mm.
Um, we've had instances where, maybe there's a mistress involved, um, or, dad didn't trust mom, and so he actually took it to the jeweler and had the thing switched out,
Oh, wow.
intentionally,
Oh, wow.
but didn't tell anybody. And so we've gotten caught in the middle of some really sticky situations over the years, dealing with all these family stories
Well, I bet you have. I bet you have. Oh my goodness.
that only get discovered, in a time like that, and then you have those stories where people wish that they would have asked, grandma or mom and dad more about that piece of jewelry, because again, it goes back to the story of, man, I wish I would have known more about
Yeah.
that piece of, where did they buy it, or how much did they pay for it, or things like that. But
Yeah.
it's I mean, I could go on for hours, all the different stories of all these different people that we've done things. But we had, oh, here's a really good story. I really love this one. We had, so not everybody is old when they pass away. And we had a gentleman come in, and he had lost his wife to cancer. And he started dating a girl that had lost her husband to cancer. And what they did is they took the two rings from the two marriages and combined them into a new ring for
Oh,
her wedding ring. Um,
mm,
and um, and so the story continued, and it was just really cool. So we brought them on in. We created the ring in CAD, designed it, created a rendering of it to show them what it would look like. And then on the day that we actually melted all that metal down and casted it into the new ring, him and his son came on in and videoed us doing it all.
oh,
And
neat.
so it allowed a new generation of a new story to continue
Right.
on with an heirloom piece of jewelry. And those are the fun stories for us of,
Yeah.
to where they've taken a sad or bad situation and turned it into a new chapter of their life with different things that they can do. So
Yeah. Must be pretty special to be able to get a glimpse into that part of other people's
absolutely.
lives.
I
Yeah.
mean, I don't think anybody thinks that a jeweler would have so much fun and be able to be a part of so many people's lives. But I mean, in a weird way, we get to be a part of people's lives at the beginning of life. When they've had a baby, or even getting married and then having a baby and celebrating that life of the birth of a baby all the way to the end of a life. We had Lockheed had a plane. This has probably been, I don't know, 20, 25 years ago, that had crashed. Had I think 6 people on it, and they all passed away. And we had probably 3 of the different families brought all the jewelry that were on, sadly on their bodies when they had passed away. And we helped them to kind of rejuvenate that and get it all cleaned up so that they could then pass that on down to the next generation.
Oh, wow.
And so, but yeah, I mean, um, dealing with jewelry at a time of, even downsizing a home, we've had some people try to be a little bit more strategic with their jewelry before they pass away, so that they're not just dealing it with it, or allowing their kids to have to deal with it.
Hmm.
Um, we had one customer that, they had decided which pieces of jewelry were going to go to which child, and they were missing one nice piece of jewelry, and so they ended up buying a nice piece of jewelry from us that she could wear for the next 20 years or so. But then that was deemed towards that one. We had another customer that literally named each piece of jewelry after their grandchildren, because that grandchild was going to get that one
Oh,
ring.
wow. Wow.
But so those that kind of think ahead a little bit, it's kind of nice. And sometimes people need help even trying to figure that out as they begin to downsize. They start going through all their jewelry that they've collected over a lifetime, and they just don't know what to do with it all.
Yeah.
So we help them to either decide to recycle it, or maybe it's just broken and they just haven't worn it for a while and it just needs to be fixed. Maybe it is something that's extremely valuable, or maybe they just want to try to sell it on consignment.
Mhm.
So there's a lot of opportunities for them to do things with their jewelry. And again, it just, sometimes they just don't even know where to begin. And so sometimes it's just nice to just come on in and just have a safe conversation and discover, what can we do with this? And we've even done it virtually. You and me, we're on Zoom, and
Yeah.
I mean, we've done jewelry box makeovers with people virtually, they just kind of take their phone and show me stuff in their jewelry box and kind of talk about, what they'd like to do with it.
Well, Doug, thank you so much for sharing your stories with us, and
Absolutely.
and for helping us understand what some of the options are for folks as they are doing that downsizing or helping mom or dad with those kind of situations too. So thanks so
Well, thanks
much.
for having me.
You bet. I hope you found this interview interesting. For more information about things you can do with jewelry, check out my other video, link below. And I hope this helps make your move easier. That's my dog.